information about Walmart's plan to close 2 of its San Diego stores. You wanted to know why they're shutting down, and CBS 8's Shannon Handy has been working for you to get some answers.
Well, look, Phil, as you said, if this persists, this tariff persisted with Mexico and Canada, it would mean billions of losses for the domestic car industry.
Wall Street may not believe in Santa Claus anymore, but they're certainly grateful for one older gentleman. Donald Trump may not yet be in office, but he's promising large gifts to the market and the economy.
In 2025, the economic landscape of the United States is undergoing a seismic shift. Massive import tariffs, reaching as high as 100 to 150% on some goods, have triggered a wave of uncertainty across American industries. These tariffs, introduced by the Trump administration in an effort to curb illegal immigration and reassert economic sovereignty, are sending shockwaves through the manufacturing, retail, and automotive sectors. But with protectionism comes a price. Factories are shutting down, assembly lines are going quiet, and thousands of workers are suddenly out of a job. We will explore how 5 companies, both giants and smaller players, are adapting to this new era of tariffs, trade wars, and economic nationalism. What happens when protection turns into isolation? 1. Walmart, strategic restructuring amid tariff pressures. Walmart, the largest private employer in the U.S., announced plans to cut approximately 1,500 jobs in 2025. These layoffs primarily affect teams in its global technology sector, e-commerce fulfillment, and advertising division, Walmart Connect. The company is also closing its Charlotte, North Carolina office, with affected employees being asked to relocate to main offices in Bentonville, Arkansas, or Sunnyvale, California. Walmart has offered severance pay and relocation assistance to those impacted. In response to escalating tariffs and trade policy changes, Walmart is actively reducing its reliance on Chinese imports. The company has increased imports from India, rising from 2% in 2018 to 25% by late 2023, and is investing heavily in Mexico, including the opening of new distribution centers with advanced AI and robotics. This diversification aims to make Walmart's supply chain more resilient and less vulnerable to tariff-related risks. Ford, navigating tariff-induced challenges. Ford has publicly acknowledged a $1.5 billion negative impact on its 2025 earnings due to tariffs imposed by the U.S. government on imported vehicles and parts. In response, Ford has taken measures such as halting U.S. exports to China and modifying imports to mitigate tariff costs. The company temporarily shut down some U.S. assembly plants in early 2025, including the Louisville and Michigan plants, citing tariff-related financial pressures and supply chain adjustments. These shutdowns were temporary and part of broader industry challenges, not a permanent exit from U.S. production. Ford disclosed plans to relocate some production to Hawaii, leveraging advanced 3D printing technology to centralize assembly and parts manufacturing there. This move is framed as a strategic innovation rather than a full withdrawal from the U.S. market. The company plans to maintain a strong U.S. presence with 24 plants and remains the largest U.S. vehicle exporter. Stalantis, temporary layoffs amid production halts. Stalantis announced in April 2025 that it would temporarily lay off approximately 900 U.S. workers across 5 facilities due to the impact of newly imposed U.S. automotive tariffs. These layoffs affect employees at the Warren Stamping and Sterling Stamping plants in Michigan and the Indiana Transmission Plant, Kokomo Transmission Plant, and Kokomo Casting Plant in Indiana. The layoffs are directly linked to Stellantis pausing production at its Windsor Assembly Plant in Canada and Toluca Assembly Plant in Mexico, both of which supply vehicles and components to the U.S. market. The production halts in Canada and Mexico were prompted by a 25% tariff on imported vehicles, which led to reduced demand for powertrains and stampings produced by the U.S. plants. While the layoffs are currently described as temporary, their duration depends on how long the Canadian and Mexican plants remain idle. Most affected U.S. workers will initially retain pay due to union contracts, but prolonged shutdowns could result in lost wages. Shein and Tamu, adapting supply chains amid tariff reductions. Chinese e-commerce giants. Shein and Tamu have faced significant challenges due to sharply increased U.S. tariffs on Chinese imports, which led to higher prices for American consumers. Shein responded by raising prices and expanding its manufacturing outside China, opening facilities in countries like Turkey, Mexico, Brazil, and planning further expansion to Vietnam. Tamu temporarily stopped shipping goods directly from China to the U.S., but is now resuming bulk shipments during a temporary tariff reduction window. Both companies are using this period of lower tariffs, from 125% down to 30% for 90 days, to restock U.S. warehouses and adjust logistics. MGA Entertainment shifting production to mitigate tariff impact. MGA Entertainment is facing severe challenges from the sharp escalation in U.S. tariffs on Chinese imports in 2025. The company, which produces popular brands like Bratz and LOL Surprise, manufactures more than half its products in China. Recent tariff hikes, now totaling up to 145% on many Chinese imports, have dramatically increased costs for MGA and other American toy makers. CEO Isaac Larian stated that toys previously sold for $10 may now cost $20, which could make them unaffordable for many families and lead to reduced sales, layoffs, and even the risk of some U.S. toy companies going out of business. To cope, MGA is accelerating its move to diversify manufacturing out of China. The company plans to shift about 40% of production to India, Vietnam, and Indonesia within 6 months, up from 10 to 15% previously. However, around 60% of MGA's production will remain in China for the near future, and price increases on Chinese-made products are expected to be passed on to U.S. consumers. Challenges faced by small businesses. Beyond these major corporations, small businesses across the United States are grappling with the repercussions of the new tariff policies. Penny Ice Creamery in Santa Cruz, California, has had to repeatedly raise prices due to increased costs of supplies. Co-owner Zach Davis expressed concerns about the affordability of essential equipment like refrigerators, freezers, and blenders, which are mostly made in China. The new tariffs threaten to drive up these costs, impacting the company's expansion plans. Aeroflow Health, based in Asheville, North Carolina, relies on Chinese manufacturers for more than half of its supplies, including breast pumps. CEO Casey Height anticipates financial strain due to the tariffs, which could force the company to purchase cheaper, lower quality products or pass higher costs along via increased health insurance premiums. Wyoming Machine, a sheet metal fabricator in Minnesota, purchases aluminum from Canada. Co-President Tracy Tapani highlighted the immediate detrimental impact of the tariffs, noting that the uncertainty has made it difficult for small businesses like hers to grow. Candy Queen Dulceria, a small business in North Richland Hills, Texas, faces the possibility of closure due to the tariffs. Owner Yessi Noyola fears that customers won't have the money to shop for traditional Mexican candies and piñatas, which are now more expensive due to the import duties. Daily Crunch, a Nashville-based sprouted nut snack company, planned to move all its packaging to China for cost savings. However, CEO Laurel Orley now questions the feasibility of this move, as the tariffs may negate any potential savings. Additionally, increased demand for warehouse space as companies stockpile inventory to circumvent future tariffs has led to rising storage costs. These examples illustrate the widespread challenges that small businesses face in adapting to the new tariff landscape. Many lack the resources to absorb increased costs or to diversify their supply chains quickly, making them particularly vulnerable to the economic shifts prompted by the tariffs. The tariff policies implemented in 2025 have had far-reaching effects on both major corporations and small businesses in the United States. While large companies like Walmart, Ford, Stalantis, Shein, Tamu, and MGA Entertainment are adjusting their operations, supply chains, and production strategies to mitigate the impact, small businesses often lack the flexibility and resources to do the same. As these policies continue to shape the economic landscape, the resilience and adaptability of businesses at all levels will be tested.